As far as we know, the black community still has no equivalent of the Rockefellers or Vanderbilts. But we do know for sure that the number of affluent blacks in this country is growing. And they're not just entertainers or super athletes, and they no longer live in segregated, closed black societies. Prosperity has brought integration and mobility to the new black upper class, and along with it, questions about its responsibility to other blacks who are left behind. It has allowed newly affluent families like the Moores of Minneapolis entrance to private clubs once denied them.
Well, how are you? It's so good.
What's that?
To hobnob with influential and powerful people right around the corner from their home in a predominantly white neighborhood. Prosperity has also allowed the Moores to see their daughter graduate from a 4th grade private school where she's one of only 2 black children in her class. Wenda Moore, 36, is a politically and socially active homemaker. Cornell Moore, 38, is a building contractor and a real estate lawyer, successful enough to do most of the things that any other affluent American might want to do. But for the Moores, there's a difference.
People still classify and they group you. I mean, people say, there's a black contractor, there's a black lawyer, there's a black man, there's a black woman. So the majority of the world, they realize who you are, and if you don't realize who you are, you're in big trouble.
I am black. I was black yesterday, and I'll be black tomorrow, too. And nothing except some good luck separates me from my sister who may not be as economically secure as I am today.
Wenda Moore is no stranger to her environment. Daughter of a prominent physician, she was born in Boston and educated in predominantly white schools until she attended Howard, a black university, and met her husband. His background is quite different. Son of a laborer in rural Georgia, Mr. Moore attended all black schools and worked his way through college by picking cotton and pumping gas. Were you dreaming, as some people think you might have been, of living white?
No, because I think, well, you know, from where I come from, that was an impossible dream. So why waste your time dreaming? You're trying to live the almighty dream of being almighty black. How many bricks?
Being almighty black so far has meant being boss of his own contracting firm.
I'm here by noon.
It's also meant having as an investment partner the son of the first black millionaire in Minneapolis, Archie Givens, and pro football player turned businessman Carl Eller as a client.
Well, I know that you've done some things over there in St. Paul. I'd like to see what you could do on it.
That'd be great. That would be great. We'll do the best that we can on pricing.
Moore also leases equipment to a major retail merchandising corporation, whose president and board chairman are his personal friends.
Mr. Dirkfeld, the meeting is yours.
Thank you much, Mr. Chairman.
Finally, he heads several boards without pay, including the powerful Minnesota State Personnel Board, which sets the salaries for all state employees. Wenda Moore stays as active as her husband, as the first woman and first black chairwoman of the University of Minnesota Board of Regents. An unsalaried job, it includes setting policy for the university and assuring friends like Muriel Humphrey, wife of the late senator, of plans for a Hubert Humphrey Institute of Public Affairs.
It's just a very exciting project for us to be involved in. I now confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Congratulations.
Her other responsibilities are ceremonial and often compete for her time with other boards and organizations to which she belongs. All of which makes Wenda Moore a social and political asset to such old friends as Senator Wendell Anderson, former governor of the state. How do you think prosperous blacks are perceived by this society?
I think this society would like to believe that we are typical, because I think we lull them into a false sense of security. We are not typical. We realize that.
There are people who would think that as a black, fairly well-to-do family, that you would feel isolated and separated
from your own people and from the people that you live among because of your economic conditions. Do you feel separated? Do you feel isolated?
I feel no sense of isolation. I think there are many social commentators who would like us as black people to feel that there are these artificial barriers that would separate us. But I certainly never feel them.
Her feelings are shared by friends of the Moores and by the head of the local urban league, Gleason Glover.
This is a point that I think too many people make an issue out of that I don't think is a valid issue. The impression is that if you no longer live in the ghetto or the designated area where blacks live, that people there feel that you don't relate.
If you can see and breathe and feel and touch, if you can look at the 6 o'clock news, you can walk down the street on the other side of town.
Tom Tipton owns an advertising agency.
On the corner of a pool shop and look and see the people walking and hungry. And you see the hostility in their eyes because they just don't have it. You cannot remove yourself, even here in Minneapolis.
The other day, I went out on one of my construction jobs, and I had the kids with me. I had my sister, who was grown, my daughter, and my son. We walked up on the job to bed. Said, "What are you doing here?" It was on an off day, of course. It's like on a Sunday. And I said, "I'm looking around." I thought he knew me. It was a police station we were building. And I said, he said, "You work for that company?" I said, "I own it." He said, "Oh, you're the one." He said, "You're all right. You're all right. You can come on." But no, the man took me back to reality. And I said, "I'm sorry, sir. Yes, I'm Cornell Moore."
Whether real or imagined slights, other prosperous blacks like Moore have had similar experiences, which is another reason, they say, they can still relate to poor blacks. Such incidents may also account for their sensitivity to a question often asked of successful blacks, but seldom of their white counterparts.
Do you feel a particular responsibility as affluent blacks, a responsibility to reach out to less fortunate blacks?
Part of the things we learned within our family, that as people who had been fortunate, we did have an obligation to make the most of what we had, and if the possibility ever presented itself, certainly to help someone else.
Do you think it's fair, though, to lay that on black families?
I don't think you have any choice. I think that we as a people must help each other. And again, I say in whatever way you can. I mean, if you can preach or teach, whatever it takes to do it.
Moore admits, though, that his way may not seem very different from that of affluent whites. He serves on boards like the Minneapolis Housing Authority that have programs for low-income families. He also solicits for the United Negro College Fund from banks and corporations. And he's active with his college alumni and the Urban League.
I don't think we have been the types that have gone out to the community houses saying we want to tutor kids every night. You just can't do everything, and you can't be all things to all people. I mean, I can't go over here and get the kids out of the ditch and dig the ditch also.
And our primary obligation, and I continue to remind Cornell of this from time to time, are the 2 black children who are growing up in this home. We have an obligation and a responsibility to them.
First.
To instill in them the confidence that will enable them to go out and hopefully, in a successful manner, cope with what is out there with the necessary tools to achieve to their highest expectations.
Tom Tipton never expected that his status in Minneapolis could also mean having the Vice President of the United States as best man at his wedding. But he makes no apologies for his achievements, which made it happen.
No, I have no guilt at all. The fight still goes on because you know what? Economically, not too much has changed. Not too much has changed. In fact, in some areas, we're going backwards.
There are a lot of social commentators who are saying that it's really going to be the class differences rather than the racial differences that will determine what happens to blacks. Do you think that's true?
I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all. because I think we have solidarity in our blackness that will always be there as long as race is the preoccupation of this country, and it is. Until all of us have the good homes, the good schools, the jobs that our intellectual ability deserves, then none of us can feel that we have arrived. It's a matter of everybody gets there, or nobody has the right to feel secure in having arrived.